Hello and welcome to the Downshift. Tonight, hosted by Lockie, Schwags and myself, KT, as Happy is jetting off to somewhere more sunny and warmer than Melbourne, which is not hard.
I was going to say it's not that hard, yep.
As it slides out on the 2025 season and with a champion crowned, in this episode, we will review the final race that crowned that champion, look back on some of the highlights and lowlights for the top three title contenders as it's lights out.
Drop the clutch.
And let's get racing.
Sorry. Hello and welcome to the Downshift as we're reviewing the final race of the 2025 season where we had a champion crowned. As we gear down for the year, a year that has offered so much in Formula One. We're still buzzing from last night's electrifying Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Don't know about electrifying, but okay, we'll keep going for that. Yep.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Which was the 24th and final round of the season that redefined Formula One drama. Under the glittering lights of Yas Marina Circuit, Lando Norris etched his name into immortality, clinching his maiden World Drivers' Championship.
Well done, Lando. Good job.
Yeah,
Got to
well
pay
done.
credit.
Yeah, good job. Hang on, didn't he win it last week when they put on the website that he'd already won a championship?
I knew I should
He's
have
just
gone to the
catching
bookies
up.
and put a bet on that. Unbelievable.
Right.
And look, in the finale that did go down to the wire with McLaren's Papaya Army celebrating a constructor's title too. So while that was a few races ago, officially now constructor's title and driver's champion at the same time.
Now they can cash the check.
Correct.
Yep.
But look, not without heartbreak for his teammate Oscar Piastri in a valiant near miss from our four-time world champion Max Verstappen. It wasn't just a race, it was a coronation, a farewell, and a pivot to the future.
Oh, well said.
Yeah, how many times do we hear them say, this is the last time you're going to see DRS in qualifying? This is the last time you're going to see DRS in practice. This is the last time you're going to see DRS in the race.
I'm just glad that they're no longer going to go DRS, drag reduction system.
Yeah.
So, boys, we again got together at Downshift HQ to watch the race. A few laps on the sim beforehand, but then
To be
nearly
fair, I
waked
think, how many we
the
had?
neighbours.
24 races. I think Dan and I have got that sim down pat now. Based on our lap times that we were doing around there, I think we've really nailed it.
He's changed some settings. That was really hard to drive.
yes, Oscar.
To be fair, Dan, we both crashed out as many times as each other, so it sort of nullified each other out. It was fine.
Yeah, it's a little different when you spend hours upon hours on it.
A smidge, yeah.
So as we look at the race, look, this was the ultimate decider where strategy played an important role. There was raw emotion across the 58 laps of the 5.5 kilometre Yas Marina circuit. Also, Max Verstappen had a lights out to flag for victory. The eighth win of the season for him and his fifth at Abu Dhabi, crossing the line in 1 hour, 26 minutes and 7.469 seconds, which really was a flawless drive where he led the gap by about 12 seconds. Mind you, it was nice to see that McLaren also put out a poster for Oscar Piastri for coming in third.
Every teenage boy's dream to have a third poster on their wall.
A
Isn't it,
third
Dan? I mean,
poster on there.
we were discussing
Yeah,
it, saying that'd be definitely on our wall if we were, a couple of years younger. Sure.
Congratulations, you're the second best loser.
But look, all the action did start in lap one. So we saw the cut that Max did on Lando before turn one, cutting Lando off and also not giving the toe to Oscar at the same time.
It was an aggressive cut, but it actually was quite a good move when you look back at it. I thought, geez, he might have almost gone too hard with that cut, but no, he held it up well. And then once he was out in front, clean air, he was off.
Yeah, he had a good clean start, like he often does. I think maybe Lando was a fraction slower, but yeah, he just couldn't. Once Max got in front, he just couldn't stick with it. And then I think, by corner three, Oscar had managed to sneak past him as well.
Yeah, so that was turn 5 where I woke half the household with a scream of exasperation as Oscar was taking a
Oscar.
very clean turn around that corner, going into second position.
To be fair, your wife only yelled at you and not us, so we were okay with that.
Mm.
And of course, then I threw my son under the bus, so it was okay.
Well, that's why you have kids.
That's why you have kids, absolutely.
So, but apart from that, we saw at the start of the race, Oscar had started on the hards where his competitors were on the mediums. So a bit of a strategy call there. We saw Oscar be able to take a long stint on the first set of tyres.
And it didn't really affect him because he was getting some really good lap times up early and closing in on Verstappen quite quickly. Once they got a bit of temperature in him, it wasn't evident that he was on the harder tyre that was going to maybe not lap as quickly.
And look, to be fair, if there was actually, any sort of altercation, any sort of yellow flag, safety flag, that might have actually worked in their favour if someone had to come and do pit stops. But based on the fact that that was just, a processional clean race, nothing happened. Everyone just sort of followed each other in a nice little line. Nothing happened from that. But look, as a shot to have a crack at something and try a different strategy on it, I thought it was actually a bold one, but a good one to try. Unfortunately, it just didn't come off because there was just no other safety car action that they could take advantage of.
Yeah, for all the memes we've been seeing all week about, I think it was Yuki taking someone out, or
I sent that one.
Liam taking someone out, or anyone Max and Lando taking each other out. It was a very clean race. Nothing happened.
Well, but except Yuki tried to take Norris out at one point. Like, let's be fair.
Well, hang on. The team radio said, you know what you've got to do. And he's gone, yeah, I know what I've got to do. And just lead me to it, which I didn't realise was let Norris past.
Yeah, he didn't really back him up in the corner. He could have backed him up for 1 or 2 seconds around some hard corners and all that. I mean, he was always going to pass him on raw speed anyway. But yeah, for someone who said, I know what I'm doing, and then he just went.
Well, he knows what he'll be doing next year.
Earning a cool $1 million for sitting there watching racing.
He's living the dream when you think about it.
I'm happy to be a reserve driver.
Maybe he can buy a winery in South Australia.
No, I'm kind of happy with Valtteri.
But we also saw it seemed almost compulsory that every driver had to do a double overtake on Stroll and Lawson through the race. We saw multiple times that happening where in the same one move, taking both cars.
Were they actually even fighting each other or doing anything? Or were they just like holding hands along the way and, dawdling along?
It really looked like a procession.
Lawson got a penalty at one point for banging into someone, didn't he? Or
erratic driving, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. That was it, erratic driving, yeah.
Which was early in the race.
Just thought that just should be called standard driving for Lawson, shouldn't it?
Now, Christian, did you fail to mention a certain Lewis Hamilton positional change?
Well, after a terrible quali and apologising to the team, Lewis charged from 16th through to 8th in a bit of a gritty recovery there.
I thought it was classic Lewis. I thought he drove really well. Their tyre selection actually was good for a change, and he was actually able to get the best out of that car and punch it through. Because, I mean, you saw that Leclerc had good speed on his car when he had relatively fresh tyres on it. Once the tyres sort of wore in, they dropped off a bit after that. But I thought Lewis did an exceptional job to get from where he was up to there.
Yeah, the Ferrari's looking good over the weekend.
It's a bit like golf, really. You've just got to have one good shot to make you want to come back next week. So I think Lewis had a good weekend and he'll want to come back next year.
Good thing he's got a contract for that, so that'll work out well for him.
Yeah.
Well, Lewis has actually said that he's changing his approach to the winter break. Normally he gets away, turns off F1 completely, but this year he's decided he's actually going to stay in Maranello and he's going to work with the team in regards to what they can do better and try and get the maximum out of the team.
Learn Italian. I think I've seen his profile on Duolingo.
He's doing well?
Oh no, he's just starting at the moment. He's
beginner
level.
Yeah.
But to your point in regards to the Ferraris did look strong. We had Leclerc who was behind Norris by about 4 seconds, and so was closing the gap, but just wasn't able to do it. We also had Norris who was 4 seconds behind Piastri as well. Ultimately, he had to finish on the podium, which gave him the World Drivers' Championship win. So we saw Verstappen first, Piastri second, Norris third, followed by Charles Leclerc and then George Russell.
Yeah, I thought George was going to do more yesterday. He was looking good in some of the practice sessions, but I think he had a bit of a tough day. He had some brake issues early, didn't he? He thought, or a long
Yeah, he
pedal.
said
That's
his
what he
brake was
said.
going long, whether he
Mm.
overheated them or not. But yeah, I agree with you, Dan. I thought Mercedes was actually going to put a better showing in, but it didn't really suit anything. Antonelli
Yeah,
had
I mean,
a poor day as well.
yeah, it didn't affect their constructors' standing, though, did it? Like they finished second, did they? Still, is that right?
Yeah, they finished.
Yeah.
Yep. As the Constructors' Championship finished up, McLaren obviously well ahead at 833 points. Mercedes came in a distant second at 469 points, followed by Red Bull Racing at 451, and then
Max
Ferrari,
Verstappen Racing.
Max Bull Racing,
Max
with
Bull Racing.
Ferrari in fourth position at 398. So that was the top four before dropping down into the mid to lower field. Which weren't even close.
There's
Or
quite a
Formula One
chasm
team.
between 4 though and 10th. I mean, you look even 4th to 5th is all 200 points or 200 plus points. There's quite a chasm between the top 4 and everybody else. And then I mean, obviously, God, you have to help Alpine does something next year because they had a miserable season.
Yeah, so
miserable.
22 points in total of a 24 race season. I mean, yeah. Flavio's doing a great job.
Probably a good thing to
Killing it.
leave Colapinto in there for a drive. That worked out well for him.
So with that, Max just missed the World Drivers' Championship by 2 points. So a really close race in the end. And really, as we were saying, it was Lando's to lose. It was McLaren's strategy faux pas which got them to that position. But luckily, Lando was able to stay in the points and just sneak through.
Yeah, well, Max did everything he had to do on the weekend. He qualified well and raced well and finished first, and that's all he could do. Like, I think he came in and saw they pretty much had a perfect weekend, and that's the best they could do. That's all they could do.
And it still holds on to that same thing that whoever starts on pole position tends to win this race as well. So that has continued on for another year.
So we'll keep that in the memory bank for next year. So
Yeah, I have to remember that when I'm tipping next year. That's right. Yeah.
as we're talking about the 3 title contenders, it's probably a nice way to also just reflect and review on the season that was for the this 3-horse race, which was twisted like the Suzuka S's. We had Norris finishing with 423 points, Verstappen at 421, and Piastri at 410. So going in reverse order, we'll look at how we thought the contenders got here, what contributed to successes, and also their heartbreaks as well. So given that I'm wearing the papaya, I may as well jump in and start with Oscar.
Kick us off,
the prodigy who peaked too soon potentially, but look, really, as I think about the highlights for Oscar over the season, really his dominant Bahrain with pole, the win and fastest lap was a real highlight for the year for him, where he outshone Norris, which then also led into his back-to-back wins with Saudi and also Miami. That actually put him to a commanding 131 points over Norris. For that really dominant driving. And then we also saw the victory that he claimed in Spain, which I thought was just amazing, with a 1-2 McLaren finish. At this stage, he was just edging his points to be 10 points ahead of Norris.
However,
probably the defining characteristic for Oscar was his performance in Australia. While it was a low light for him, where he veered off track into the grass, which knocked him back down to 9th position, unlike most F1 drivers who just go, I'm stuck, I can't move, he had the fortitude to be able to put it into reverse, back it out, and continue the race, still to be able to finish 9th in the points. So 23 points behind Norris in that first race. But we did see, obviously, where Oscar fell off the perch a little bit, where he crashed out in both the qualifying and race session in Azerbaijan, giving him 0 points, but then also in Sao Paulo as well, that massive points hit that he got there from pulling out there. And then finally, the Qatar pit stop. And I reckon this was more of a low light for Lando than it was for Oscar because it actually hemorrhaged the points loss for Oscar here. But still, that was a massive impact in regards to coming through to the tail end of the race.
So if you look at that then, as long as he can next year have a better crack at the European League, theoretically, he's still in with a really good shot.
Yeah, it was, for me, looking in regards to his performance last year, he seemed to have a strong start and a strong finish. This year, he had a strong mid-season and fell off at the tail end. So if he can sort of pull that all together, it'll be a well-rounded package for 2026.
What's going to be interesting for Oscar next year and all the other drivers is how he manages the new cars.
Yep.
There's, he's obviously did well managing the McLaren through practice and sessions. He was consistently building and fine-tuning, getting it right. There'll be a whole new element as to that skill set plus now dealing with a brand new car, which he wouldn't have seen in Formula One at this stage. Like the likes of Lewis, I think, have seen it before, and Max has seen it before. So there's some drivers that are probably going to be a bit very experienced in, here's a brand new car that we have to really hit the ground running and learn how to handle this thing.
Dan, why don't you continue on, mate, and keep it go through Max Verstappen for us?
Well, speaking of, we're moving on to Max Verstappen now. There's the second place getter in our Drivers' Championship. And, I mean, we were saying for a while now, any of the races in the last half of the season, you just could never rule Max out of anything because he just got to the point where, early in the season, they were really struggling with that car. He was having a lot of issues trying to get it anywhere near the pointy end of the field. It was shortly after Christian left, but maybe third of the way through the season, it kind of got
not that Christian, the other Christian, mate. Yep.
Kind of got his legs and just got that thing dialed in. Even though he complained no end during practice sessions how bad it was, you come racing, it was really good. So had his first win of the season in Suzuka in Japan, massive for Honda at their home circuit, and just underscoring Max's qualifying edge and raw pace. He then had a P2 in the Netherlands, 104 points from Piastri. That was probably the turning point in the season. And Monza, which was the fastest race in F1 history, first of 6 race wins out of 9. So, yeah, that's just Max, and well experienced. And he got close, but he was happy about it. He had no pressure and got to the end and just basically said, we did the best we can. But from what did he say? From Zandvoort onwards, he was, they were 100 points adrift of anything, or he was. So he's made a massive effort to come back to be within 2 points of taking it out. So,
you see a lot of drivers, you'd write them off at 104 points behind the lead, and again, you'd discount Max at your peril. He's shown what he can do, but also with that change, as you're saying, with Christian, with Laurent coming in, they were still doing upgrades until the very tail end of the season. So they could have quite easily turned their attention to other projects. Went, no, we're going to keep pushing.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Because it was clear that there's it seemed like a lot of teams go, yeah, you know what, we're just going to focus on 26 and get that stuff going, not put a lot into the 25 car, but they were still rolling out some upgrades, probably what, 5 races to go. So there's probably a few little bits and pieces coming out. So yeah, so
they
they've done
worked.
well.
They clearly worked, so it was worthwhile doing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing for Max.
No, it wasn't all smooth sailing. It's these penalties for deliberately shunting George Russell in Spain, finishing 10th. Crashed out in the opening lap in Austria. A rare error that handed Norris a free win and widened the gap. And in a lowly 9th in Hungary as the Papaya pair duelled ahead, underscoring Red Bull's vulnerabilities on the twisty tracks. And then we've just got to move on to Lando Norris this season, Lockie.
Yeah, well, look, he's look, if you've been following our podcast for a while, we've backed Lando in from the start. We've been, big true supporters of him here on the pod. We haven't followed Piastri through there at all. Big follower. But look, he was when you think about it, he was a relentless underdog who has now turned around and become the king. So you look at that and go, we have to give credit where credit's due. He drove a great season as well. He had, what was he at? His home win at Silverstone there, which obviously, been his home win there. British fans were up and about, all hail the king and all things like that. But it also proved then McLaren's absolute pace on high-speed circuits. So when it was a high-speed circuits, McLaren were dialed in. Then went on, he had another victory there in Mexico City, which was the first time since round 4 after that. And that's when he actually overtook Piastri by 1 point in the championship there. They followed up with a flawless weekend in Sao Paulo, winning both the sprint and the race. And then that took it out to 24 points. And there was only 3 races remaining after that. Wasn't all, silver bells and cockle shells and all that sort of stuff. He did end up having 2. It's Christmas theme. Got to get that in there. See, just smooth that in there. So he did end up having a couple of DNFs for the season as well when he actually ran into Piastri there in Canada, which, to be fair, when we were watching that race, none of us cheered. We weren't cheering at all when that happened. Remember it well. And then he unfortunately had an engine failure while he was actually leading the Dutch Grand Prix. And then that gave Piastri quite a large 104-point lead at that stage. Obviously, the skid block wear in Vegas where they both got disqualified sort of reopened the championship then and brought Max even further into the title fight from that one. And obviously the final one, which is, again, not entirely his fault, was that botched pit stop strategy that they had there in Qatar, which obviously gave Verstappen the win and took us to the final one there of the 3-way battle, which I must admit, Liberty Media and the F1 must have been rubbing their hands in delight knowing it was a 3-way battle for the final race, because I can't remember the last time that's happened.
There's been a few of them, but not.
2012 was the three contenders.
Yeah, so it's been 13 years is a reasonable.
And I think we commented last night we were watching the race. That would be a great race to have been at. Just the buzz around the whole lot about it being a 3-way, a 3-way battle. And I mean, Qatar itself is a great looking circuit and great looking grandstands and the whole works. But yeah, it would have been great. Look, I mean, I don't know where this Relentless Underdog comes from, because wasn't Lando came second last year, didn't he? He was nearly at the pointy end of the season. I thought he would have been.
I was just reading what Christian wrote.
No.
Well, no, he was the underdog from the middle of the season where he was quite a way off from his teammates. So,
yeah, he was looking a bit patchy for the first part, wasn't he?
Yeah,
just hadn't quite got it together yet.
Gap between drinks. So.
And so now Lando's got as many championships as Nico Rosberg.
Does that mean he's going to retire as well, or
one? Well, he might, maybe. So does that mean that Lando can take number 1 if he wants it? Yes. Or is that not happening?
So what will happen now is, so based on the rules of Formula 1, is that the World Drivers' Champion will take the number 1 for next year. So Lando will be number 1. And
as they should too, to be fair. Like it's well deserved to actually be able to have that on your car. So
is that a given?
Will happen for next year. And so there was the conversation from Max going back to 33, and if he said he couldn't have 33, he'd then go to 69.
33 is not available because
we don't want it to be, so he can be 69.
Don't ask the tough questions. Okay, rightio. We'll save that for another episode.
So because Huppy's away, we've decided to leave the predictions until next week. So make sure that you tune in for those. We'll leave everyone in suspense for another week. But look, what a year it has been. 64 episodes since the downshift started back in February this year. So well done, boys. It's been a marathon, not a sprint.
It's kind of flown by, even the season. We talked at the start of the year. We got like a 24 races. It's a grueling season for all the drivers and hectic and everything else. But here we are. It's Christmas and it's over.
They don't think of the podcasters, do they?
Never think of the podcasters. Terrible.
All that travel's killed me.
It's the extra drinking that's killing me. Like, God.
Yeah, I know, right?
Start a podcast.
The late nights.
Now I need a liver transplant. Unbelievable. Yeah.
But look, Schwags, going into 2026, we won't be able to call you the newbie anymore.
Oh, I'm sure I can say some stupid shit next year too. Don't worry about that. We'll have some rookie questions. There'll be a lot of rookie questions next year with new cars. I'll tell you, there'll be a lot of learnings to have, even if it's to have, as we kind of figure out how these teams have interpreted the rules. And I reckon there'll be Toto and, well, it won't be Christian anymore, but
who knows,
Laurent, and they'll be all dobbing each other in for breach of rules, like they did a few
And
years ago. So
when Toyota takes over, Toyota Gazoo Racing, when they take over their team as well, sooner rather than later, that'll be a big call as well when we have to announce that.
And we now will have Adrian Newey as not only aeronautics designer, but also team principal. So he'll be pushing the envelope at the same time.
I reckon that's going to be really exciting when they do, because they had Zach Brown and Laurent Meckies on the pit wall on the Sky Sports coverage. So they got to chat to them during the race. I think that's when they do that with Adrian, that's going to be really exciting stuff to listen to.
Really? Because he loves an interview, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's very talkative.
Well, I've got his book to read over the summer, so that will be an interesting read as well. So, and Lockie, the pressure will not only be on the upcoming 2026 season, but also your weather predictions for the next round.
Well, look, I was looking at upgrading the weather equipment, so I was just going to check with our financial controller whether I could get an extra $500,000 budget just to increase my weather maps and have a piece of graphics and things like that. But obviously in the off season, I'll see what I can do with that. Might even see if I can, get the body trimmed down and get into a bikini or something like that, just to try and get some new viewerships in there and things like that. So maybe we won't. We'll just see how that goes anyway.
I wasn't allowed to sing.
No, definitely not. I've heard that before. No one wants us to be subjected to that, Christian. Come on, that's not fair.
And Happy, I forgot he wasn't here. But look, we'll be working over the summer or F1's winter to add our own upgrades, a regulation change, if you will, to bring even bigger and better downshift to our listeners. So for those watching and those listening, please share with us what you'd like to see from the downshift team for 2026. What would make listening or viewing even better for you next year? So, and Lockie, we would probably need to look at a way to increase your budget as well. So it might be some surprises coming.
Most definitely. Yep.
Not as many episodes over the break. We will release episodes as there are things to talk about. With Happy being away, we still have to close out a predictions championship. So with only 13 weeks to go until our next race, we still have one more episode next week before the downshift team will be taking a little break, but expect things to ramp up in the new year. Until our next episode, we'll see you on the next lap.